Assalamualaikum and a very good morning and welcome to our radio drama presentation. Please enjoy. Let's get to know our presenters first. We have IMAN binti NORAZAM, MOHAMAD ARIF bin SUKERI, and me myself, Sofi Shahirah binti HATA.
This is Arif. He's one good-looking guy.
This is Iman. Ayo, yo bawa. Please be good. Okay, nice. Alright. Hi.
This is Sofi. Oh my god, look cute. Hey! There are plenty of ways that radio drama can be defined. And one of them can be seen as a dramatic, completely acoustic performance with no visual features. So, it's frequently broadcast on the radio or as an audiobook. It is referred to as audio cinema. It was most popular during the golden age of radio, before television was introduced. Radio drama relies on conversations, music, sound effects to help listeners visualize the characters and the tales because the lack of visual component. Radio drama can be a learning tool in the ELT scope because learning a language entails mastering 4 fundamental skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So radio drama indeed covers all 4 of these skills, and these skills are learned in a more or less hierarchical order, with mastering one reliant on mastering one of the other. So the first step of learning a language is to listen to it. Honing the listening skills is the cornerstone of learning a language. Within the ELT context, the teacher employed radio drama as a medium for students to practice their oral skills and to assist the teacher in teaching speaking. There are various of activities, including radio drama, debating, presenting the results of a discussion, rehearsing before performing, and role-playing. Furthermore, it is critical for educators to encourage learners to practice their speaking skills. In most cases, radio drama consists of a play or a story with no physical action or visual elements. And the plot can be exceedingly innovative because of the nature of radio play and the performer's voice acting skills and the sound effects bringing the story to life. Furthermore, radio drama promotes collaboration because they typically involve more than one character and students must work together to fulfill duties such like creating scripts, assisting roles and characters, rehearsing, producing sound effects, and performing the story as a whole. So working on radio drama has been shown to assist students in enhancing their motivation, their self-confidence, while using English in a low-stress atmosphere. In comparison to a standard classroom setting, collaborative assignments can give students more opportunity to communicate and connect with one another. And I think that they can mimic the intricacies of real-life communicative circumstances. Some teachers may be hesitant to teach radio drama in an ELT classroom because of the difficulty of managing the classroom during the activity. Just like any drama activity, radio drama encourages free expression, which can get a little bit out of hand and maybe a little noisy because everyone is overly excited. This could be the situation in the worst case scenario. So the teacher, on the other hand, can conduct constructive and rewarding lesson in which students learn to express themselves emotionally, verbally, and physically, develop collaborative skills, and remain focused on the task with an appropriate approach.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Arif and today I'll be your guide into the history of radio drama. But before we dive into the history of radio drama, I think it's wise for us to take a sneak peek into the origins of the radio itself. The origins of the radio can be traced all the way back to the late 1890s. However, there's actually a lot of controversy on who was the first one to actually invent it. Alexander Popov, a Russian physicist, was already broadcasting radio waves as early as 1895. And in the same year in India, an Indian physicist, Jagdish Chandra, was actually ringing bells and triggering explosive by using radio waves. Even Nikola Tesla, the person who invented the Tesla coil, claimed that he had developed wireless telegraph in 1893. However, many people credit Guglielmo Marconi as the pioneer of the radio. This was perhaps because he was the first one to actually get the radio patent, while the others were still experimenting with it. The radio, since its creation, played a very significant role in changing how the world works. It made sending long-distance messages easier and quicker. And during the World Wars, military would use it to send long-distance messages without the need for a runner or a physical messenger. In the early years, radio was only used for communicating with ships at sea, replacing the old method of Morse code. Over time, its function grew and evolved, and it was not only the primary source of entertainment for people, but also a source of news. Now moving on to the actual history of radio drama. Radio drama emerged as a popular form of entertainment in the 1920s, even before the golden age of radio. The golden age of radio drama was a period where, as the name suggests, radio broadcasting was at its peak in the United States. And during this period, the popularity of radio drama grew even more. The first play written specifically for radio drama was called A Comedy of Danger by Richard Hughes, which aired in January of 1924, commissioned by the BBC in Britain. At that time, radio was the main source of entertainment and the only media outlet where you could listen to songs, dramas, news, sports, and other formats. It can truly be considered as today's television. Radio drama was so popular because people could enjoy it from the comfort of their homes without actually having to go out to go to theatres and such. Radio drama was even popular during the period of the Great Depression, a severe economic depression that was happening worldwide. During that period, the number of radio listeners actually surged as it provided the people with news regarding the economy. Radio dramas and other programs played a vital role in entertaining the people and distracting them from the hardships that they were facing. More people owned radios, were listening to radios in increasing numbers, and were listening to radios for an increasing amount of time each day. There were a wide of genres that listeners could tune in based on their preferences and interests. Radio drama genres include biographical, classic and period, crime, historical, horror and supernatural, musical, political, psychological, relationships, and many more that I can't remember, but I will put it in the slides. Originally, radio drama was not recorded but actually broadcasted live. This was because technology at that time, during the early period, it wasn't capable of capturing voices clearly. As technology gradually evolves after World War II, then radio drama was recorded and then broadcasted to the people at a later date and time. The golden age of radio eventually went into decline with the introduction of the television in the 1950s, and with it, the popularity of radio drama. Now, some of you might be wondering what's the most famous radio drama, and even if some of you is not asking that question, I'm just going to share it to you anyway. The most famous radio drama would perhaps be Orson Welles' radio adaptation of H.G. Wells' novel The War of the Worlds in 1938. The reason for it being famous is not what people nowadays would actually expect. The 60 minutes adaptation done by Wells was about a Martian invasion of the Earth. However, there were some aspects that were changed, primarily the setting, in order to make it more appeal to American listeners, as the story originally took place in England. Even the first part of the adaptation was made into a radio broadcast in order to make it sound more realistic. According to sources, there was a statement in the opening announcement issuing that the broadcast is actually a fictional work. However, some people actually missed the opening announcement and thought that the events in the broadcast was actually happening in real life. Some listeners mistook those bulletins for the real thing, and the anxious phone calls to the police, newspaper offices, and radio stations convinced many journalists that the show had caused a nationwide hysteria. The public was furious as they believed that they were deceived by the broadcasting. Though the adaptation accidentally caused a massive white panic in the United States, it had made Wells become famous overnight and was the topic of conversation of Americans at that time. Nevertheless, in the early aftermath of the broadcasting, Wells had received threats from the public as they believed that it was indeed his intention to stir up the country. Even to this day, his adaptation of War of the Worlds is considered to be the most famous radio drama ever made. And if you Google what's the most famous radio drama, War of the Worlds will be the first search result. Other popular stories of radio drama include Sorry Wrong Number, Johnny Got His Gun, The Origins of Superman Retold, and a few others. Orson Welles can be considered as a prominent figure in radio drama, as he was not only a director but also an actor. He had produced and starred in many great adaptations throughout his life. That is all from me for now. I'll be passing the mic to Professor Iman from Drama University.
Thank you, Arif and the team, for inviting me. I'm very honored to be here. To start off, how many learning theories can we find using radio drama? The answer is infinite. But today, I will talk on two major theories, mainly the multiple intelligences theory and the experiential learning theory. Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences theory highlights that learners' language learning differs from one another. He proposed that learners' learning experience does not work in a linear manner, meaning a straight line. Rather, it is all connected between 8 different intelligences at varying depth, according to Arul Selvi 2018. Gardner's fields of multiple intelligences are identified as verbal linguistics, students that are word smart, good with spoken and written discourse; logical mathematical, they are good with numbers and logical reasoning, meaning number smart; visual spatial, visual smart, meaning they learn better with images; bodily kinesthetic, body smart, learns better with physical movement; musical, sound smart, they identify changes in rhythm and tone much better than others; interpersonal, people smart, they know how to work in groups and are aware of the others' emotions or feelings; and intrapersonal, self smart, learners are able to review and reflect on oneself's feelings and their thoughts at the moment; naturalists, they are students that understand nature and their surrounding much better. From all these 8 intelligences, we have identified 3 multiple intelligences that can be found when we use radio drama in the classroom. Firstly, the verbal linguistic intelligence. This is where students that are more adept in learning through language, as they use English language in both spoken and written discourse. Radio drama enables students to express themselves verbally, as they use the language to convey meaning and story through their presentation. This exemplifies students' ability to utilize pragmatics in the English language, as they manipulate tones in sentence structures consciously for a dramatic effect in their discourse. Farin and Oyedukun Ali 2020 mentions that the practical use of pragmatics or the learning of pragmatics in a language prompts learners to be more eloquent in English language than being perfect in using it. Lastly, the integration of musical intelligence in the radio drama. The accompaniment of music and sound effects makes learning impactful for learners, especially learners that are receptive to changes in rhythm and sound patterns. This catches their attention as it enables students to mentally illustrate the characters and settings carried out throughout the audio content by deriving it from their experiences or schemata. As such, we recommend you to try, make, or assign your shy students to be the music producer in their own audio drama presentation if you were to use this as a group activity. Experiential learning, or better known as the concept of learning by doing, is defined as a process that engages learners to interact directly with a task or an experience given to them that expands their knowledge, foster skills, and refine moral values, according to Fletcher 2021. Rai and Lama 2020 says that experiential learning is a theory under the umbrella of pragmatism. Thus, it personifies the idea that students' schemas and experiences are constantly restructured as they encounter new experiences in their learning, and this must cater to their needs in the progressive world. This is because students are trained to be well aware of their reality rather than preparing them for the world, that is, in the sense of experiential learning and pragmatism. Thus, John Dewey suggested that the learning process should focus on the students, student-centered, as to encourage them to be more dynamic and actively participate in solving the task at hand. Using experiential learning in the classroom empowers your learners to achieve lifelong learning through school activities that constantly leads them to be well-rounded, aesthetically, physically, academically, and emotionally. let's take a look at the systematic framework of how an experiential learning takes place as proposed by David Kolb, a prominent figure that promoted Kolb's experiential learning cycle. According to Virtanen 2022, Kolb's experiential learning cycle consists of 4 stages, namely concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and last but not least, the active experimentation. These stages work in a spiral learning process that facilitates knowledge through the process of restructuring experience, and each stage functions as a foundation for the next stage. The first stage, concrete experience, is where learning begins with students' engagement with a new experience or reimagined experience that has already happened. For learning to occur, Kolb stressed that students' active involvement with the task can help them to be exposed to new methods of solving the task. Being so, they can acquire new knowledge effectively. Moving on to the second stage, reflective observation. They are required to take a step back and ponder on their new experience while reviewing it and questioning it with others. It is important that the exchange of ideas happens in this stage, since it allows learners to recognize any inconsistencies or gaps in their knowledge and experience. Their discussion helps them to reflect as they try to understand and learn from others' perspectives. The third stage, abstract conceptualization. Learners begin to construct new concepts or reconstruct their existing schema based on the reflection made from the previous step. Students move to abstract conceptualization as they organize an hypothesis or organize any reasoning that they have established from the situation given. At this point, students are given the chance to evaluate and review how well their new inferences can be implemented in reality. To simplify things, learners actually can unravel the efficacy of their new acquired concept or solution by implementing it to their task as a means to solve it. The fourth stage, the active experimentation. It is the peak that illustrates students' ability to implement their new concepts to their reality. And this is where they start to observe whether their newly structured concepts made any changes to it. In addition to this stage helps learners to understand how their experiences can lead to new concepts and inventions by testing it out. The relevance of all these 4 stages is evident to say that at the end of the cycle, a new series of learning cycle will be carried out as learners are constantly exposed to new concepts and experiences. Thus, this embodies the nature of Kolb's experiential learning cycle as a cyclic learning process. Now that we have finished understanding the theories here, I have a question to the members of the floor. Particularly, if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Rifani, can you tell me what are the 3 multiple intelligences that I have mentioned when teachers use radio drama in the classroom?
Now we move on to the elements of radio drama. According to Salau, radio dramas almost have the same elements as regular dramas or stage plays. The difference between them is that, unlike regular dramas, radio dramas lack visual cues that allow the audience to see what is happening in a scene. This is simply because the drama is being played on a radio, which only sound is emitted from it. So in order to help the listeners visualize a scene, a great emphasis is put on sounds and dialogues. The elements of radio drama includes characters, actions, dialogues, and time and place. The characters in a radio drama are not as many when compared to the characters in a regular drama. This is simply because it is hard for listeners to keep track of characters that they themselves cannot see. So the only way for them to distinguish each character is by listening to their voices. Yet this is also quite difficult to do. Radio drama characters not only need to have distinctive voices, but their dialogues also need to fit with their character's background, emotions, age, and other factors. For example, if a character is supposed to be an old Frenchman that originated from a rich family with a high social background, then his dialogues must reflect those factors. His way of speaking must have a French accent, and he must pronounce and use the words that a man of high social class would use. Another example is perhaps the pronunciation of an upper class Englishman and a lower class Englishman. The upper class Englishman would perhaps say bottle of water as bottle of water, while the lower class Englishman would say something like bottle of water using glottal stop. The writers and actors must take these factors into consideration when writing and voicing the dialogue. Now for actions. Actions in radio drama are conveyed to the listeners in a manner of auditory rather than visual through sound effects and dialogues. The characters would often describe their actions as listeners are unable to see what they are currently doing. These actions are also usually accompanied with sound effects to give the audience a sense of immersion. So for example, if a character is running or chasing something, a panting sound effect would be played, something like something like that perhaps. This is where radio drama have an advantage over regular dramas. Radio drama can portray as many or over-the-top actions as they want to, as they only need to use sound effects for it. In regular dramas, however, or in stage plays, the character must actually perform these actions for the audience to see. Due to this, certain factors need to be taken into consideration, such as budget, equipment, and location. If a radio drama were to portray two characters fighting, they will only need to use sound effects such as people grunting or items breaking or any other sound effects that could give the listeners a feel of people fighting. But in regular dramas, there's choreography involved, there's special effects, and prop items and others. For dialogues, it can be considered as the most important element in radio drama. As mentioned before, radio dramas lack visual cues that are available in regular dramas. This makes it hard for listeners to picture the setting of the drama or the situation that is currently happening in a scene. This is where sounds and dialogues play an important role. They are used to assist the listeners in visualizing the setting and situation, what is currently happening and what is about to happen in the drama. Dialogues are also important in conveying not only the characters' actions but also their thoughts and emotions. In a regular drama, it is easy to notice if a character is sad or angry just by looking at their facial expression. However, in radio dramas, it is necessary for the characters to say what they are currently feeling. Characters would have dialogues saying, I'm feeling quite sad this morning, or perhaps my heart is boiling because of what he did, to let the listeners know what the character is feeling at the moment. It is also important to have dialogues describing the character's actions in order for listeners to know what they are currently doing or how they are reacting. For example, if a character is going to sleep, he or she might say something like, I'm going to sleep now, good night. Or if a character is dodging something, perhaps a car, he might say, watch out for that swaying car. Dialogues are also used to identify sound effects that the listeners might have trouble identifying themselves. If it is raining in a scene, a raining sound effect will be played and a character perhaps might say something like, it is raining heavily today. The final element will be time and place. The time and the setting of a radio drama would often be described by a narrator or the character themselves. Certain sound effects would be played in order to fit with the time and place. If a scene were to take place in a city or an urban area, sound effects that can be found in those places would be played, such as pedestrian walking, cars honking, construction, and others. For time, the crowing of a rooster would give the impression that it is currently morning, while the chirping of crickets would give the impression of night. Now we have reached the types of radio drama. During the golden age of radio drama was classified into two types, popular dramas and prestige dramas. Popular dramas were developed by advertisers, while prestige dramas were developed by radio networks themselves. The significant difference between these two types of radio drama is commercial sponsorship. Prestige drama, as it can be hinted in the name, it was free from commercial sponsorship as its main focus was to appease critics. Popular drama, on the other hand, as it was developed by advertisers, would have commercial and advertisement in it. Popular drama often received higher ratings due to it drawing from mass culture forms such as pulp fiction and comic strips. While receiving lower ratings than popular drama, prestige dramas had the freedom to experiment with sounds, effects, acting styles, language, and traditional narrative structure due to it not being constrained by commercial sponsorship. Now, before I end this section, I would like to ask you guys a question. What is pulp fiction genre? Not the movie, but genre. Whoever is playing the video, please pause it until someone actually answers it. That's right, whoever you are that answered. Pulp fiction refers to a genre of racy, action-based stories that were published in cheaply printed magazines from around the 1900s to 1950s, and mostly in the United States. At that time, this genre was very popular among Americans. This is how popular drama got its name, by broadcasting dramas with genres that was popular among the public.
From the 1940s to the 1950s, radio was the most popular form of entertainment. It was more than just a news source. Music and novels played an important role in people's daily lives. Then in the 1950s, the only reason radio lost its popularity was essentially because it was replaced by television. While television became increasingly popular, radio was the first to broadcast a wide range of stage plays, the majority of which were adapted for radio. Radio dramas have their origins in different forms of transmissions long before radio technology was developed. Many felt that radio was harming the theatre sales as new plays were written for radio and other adapted. In the ELT scope, the education system has not used radio drama for class purposes due to the lack of implementation of it in the classroom. Despite that though, radio drama has been steadily returning in the last decade or so particularly through the voices of independent creators. While our parents are still largely used to listening to the radio, younger generations are now more likely to listen to podcasts, which has the advantage of allowing us to actively choose what we listen to and which topic deserves our attention. With radio drama being more popular now, it could be a universal strategy for teachers with limited experience in drama education to foster vibrant dialogues and increase students' fluency in a second language while incorporating drama elements. This technique is distinguished by the unique qualities and capabilities of radio as a medium, and it provides a variety of ways to apply these capabilities in an ELT classroom.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for using Radio Drama Expressway. Next station, how to use radio drama in an ESL classroom. Next station, how to use radio drama in an ESL classroom. Now that we already learned bits about radio drama, its history, elements, famous figures, theories, and a bit then and now, how do we use radio drama or how do we implement radio drama in an ESL classroom? Worry not, my team and I have developed 3 stages on how you can use radio drama in the ESL classroom. Firstly, the introduction stage. Secondly, the activity stage. And last but not least, the post-lesson stage. Let's take a look. First stage, the introduction stage. This is a stage where you try to get your learners or students to be more friendly with the audio drama. So how do we do that? Try introducing it as a listening activity in your classroom. So use it as a listening activity whereby your learners or students need to listen for specific information that they can gather from the audio drama or getting a gist of what the storyline is from the audio drama. That's to make it really fun and a bit spice it up. At the same time, try to familiarize your students with the mechanism or the workings of how an audio drama is, so that at least they know what radio drama is rather than being blurry about. Now that your students know what radio drama is, it's time for them to shine. Now, the activity stage allows your students to create their own radio drama. So how do we do this? Teachers firstly need to assign roles to each student just to make sure that each student are participating actively or evenly in creating it. However, there are times that you have students that are a bit shy, so assign them the role of a music producer. You can see that they might be active. And another tip for us is that make sure that you limit the amount of script that each presenters or each group need to do. So instead of 3, 4, 5 pages, try to max it into 1 max pages only or minimum at half a page. You want to make sure that each group have equal chances to present their work in the classroom. And how can we let the students present their work in audio drama? Because audio drama can see their faces. Easy peasy. There are two things that you can do. Firstly, you can ask presenters to present their audio drama behind their peers' backs. See, they can see their faces. And secondly, a very good tip is that you can put a monitor over the presenter's head. So your audiences or your classroom friends can't really see their facial gestures, hand gestures, or even the slightest move in their muscle faces. And last but not least, teacher as a facilitator need to facilitate and give more guidance in them in case they may have or encounter any problems when they are creating the script or in directing it. Lastly, the post-lesson stage. It's where teachers need to give feedbacks or comments to each group's presentation. Now, for each group's presentation, don't forget to bring a small note and write down what are the things that the group had done well, or what are the things that the group could have done well, maybe suggestions. At the same time, your feedback and comments shouldn't be too elaborated because you don't want them to lose the focus of language learning. So make sure that the focus is more on language learning, what they could have done better in terms of intonation, tone, and sentence structures, and not on things and minor things such as sound effects.
In most cases, radio drama consists of a play or a story with no physical action or visual elements. And the plot can be exceedingly innovative because of the nature of radio play and the performer's voice acting skills and the sound effects bringing the story to life. Furthermore, radio drama promotes collaboration because they typically involve more than one character and students must work together to fulfill duties such like creating scripts, assisting roles and characters, rehearsing, producing sound effects, and performing the story as a whole. So working on a radio drama has been shown to assist students in enhancing their motivation, their self-confidence, while using English in a low-stress atmosphere. Students work in groups and participating in cooperative learning while creating a radio drama. So I think that a radio drama activity can benefit students in a variety of ways. It can help them improve their writing abilities, improve their listening and their speaking skills, and improve their ability to collaborate because they must compose and perform the drama as a team. Employing theatre in children's schooling helps improve generic abilities like verbal communication, critical thinking, teamwork, and creativity. Other than that, drama-based activities can help students gain confidence and reduce fear when talking by creating a safe space, peaceful, engaging, and motivating learning environment. Confidence, anxiety, and motivations are essential elements in learning. Students will be more motivated and more willing to use the language if they find the learning process to be fun. In comparison to a standard classroom setting, collaborative assignments can give students more opportunity to communicate and connect with one another. And I think that they can mimic the intricacies of real-life communicative circumstances.
Wow, that's a lot of advantages there. Even I'm amazed listening to it. But is it all rosy and flowery as we expected? What about the disadvantages? Well, folks, to be honest, we couldn't find any contemporary research about this. The emotional damage that I went and we went through to find it. Excuse me. As I was saying, we tried to look for it, but none could be found. As such, my team and I would like to share our thoughts on the 3 disadvantages in using radio drama in the ESL classroom. Firstly, the implementation of radio drama in the classroom is the strenuous process in preparing it for a lesson, especially for the teachers. Why do we say so? Our findings have explicitly elaborated that adopting radio drama in an ESL classroom requires much effort on the teacher's perspective. Milo 2018. It is, after all, an unfamiliar activity that is rarely used in the Malaysian ESL context. Hence, there are many things that the teacher has to prepare to ensure that the lesson can run smoothly. But if the opposite happens, it can clearly jeopardize the focus of the lesson, as well as students feeling demotivated or unwilling to take or partake in the class activity. One of the few things that the teacher may have to do is to filter the script, making sure that it suits the learner's proficiency level and determine whether it is contextual to their experience or the reality, their outside world. Another taxing task that the teacher needs to do is to guide their students, yes, their very own students, in executing their radio drama on their own. This especially needs additional time and preparation, as the teacher needs to utilize more than one session, or probably a 30-minute class is not enough for it, because she or he needs to get them ready to undertake the activity independently, making it less attractive to the teacher's eyes for its time-consuming process. Next, the lack of visual elements while using it. As we are well aware, a radio drama is only made out of its audio content, verbal discourse, music, sound effects, which contributes to its lacking resources for visual aids. In a study by Harwani 2017, she stresses that including visual elements in the ESL classroom is beneficial for its learners. It helps them to participate actively in their learning content in an English class. This is indeed true, as visual aids are attractive in the eyes of a young learner. Wow, what's that? Motivating them to discover the lesson of the day. Based on Gartner's multiple intelligences, visual aids, a medium to integrate visual-spatial intelligence, enables learners' interaction with English to be more dynamic in the learning process. And this helps them to be more imaginative in their interpretation of the content. However, the lack of visual elements here is harmful for learners, and it's difficult for teachers to determine the extent of learners' imagination listening to the audio play. These can lead pupils to be unmotivated to listen to the audio properly and as to the lesson, as they find it difficult to do so, defeating the purpose of using radio drama as a teaching methodology in the ESL classroom. Lastly, it's not suitable to be used for low proficiency students. According to Milo 2080, radio drama often uses complex language that is accompanied with fast interaction and pragmatic sentences. An advanced use of English language can be harmful to the ears of these learners, as it can be intimidating to them, causing them to feel less participative to complete the task or understanding the audio content. This is due to learners' lack of knowledge in manipulating English for practical reasons. Their inability to do so causes them to be at loss in deciphering these complicated dialogues within the audio play. Moreover, factors like complicated storylines and special effects are more likely to cause learners to be absent-minded from listening to the audio drama. In the chances that teachers do select an audio drama that is less complicated language-wise, it may lack dramatic effect like background music, which can diminish pupils' interest to be focused in the lessons or to be interested in a lesson.
But before any successful lesson, there are do's and don'ts to a successful classroom. And here are some do's of implementing radio drama in an ELT classroom. To begin, just like any other lesson, a teacher should start with defined goals and objectives to have a clear guideline of the activity. If a teacher just show up in class and being unprepared with the intention of having fun, I mean, it is true, but at the same time, the class will quickly become out of control. Although a radio drama activities and tactics can be beneficial when employed in the correct setting, it can be troublesome if unplanned. If a teacher knows what they want to accomplish, a teacher should explain it to the students so that they can grasp the lesson's objectives and specific tasks. Each learner must be aware of their position or obligation in the radio drama itself to have a successful lesson. Start by outlining the lesson and then clarify each activity as the class progresses. Other than that, a student must be mindful of the teacher's expectations for appropriate and inappropriate behavior during the lesson, creating a routine from the beginning for the students to be familiar with. explain how they should behave right away to establish a clear instruction in the classroom, because there will be more movement and noise in a radio drama lesson compared to other classes. An example is a stop signal, which can be a sound, a gesture, a movement, which will notify the students that you should stop. Stop what they are doing and face the teacher. In addition, when introducing a particular activity, be sure to explain the steps in detail before giving the signal to begin. Explain what needs to be accomplished with the exercise, how they should be expected to complete it, how long it should take, and whether they will be working alone, with a partner, or in a group. Other than that, if the radio drama lesson requires students to present or share the work that they have developed in groups, the teacher must assist them to acquire effective audience skills. While waiting for their turn to present their work, groups may opt to continue discussing their ideas rather than watching and listening to the other groups. So, one of the ways to get around this is to encourage groups to complement each other's efforts. After the first group is in place, organize a second group to provide feedback on the presentation. When the first group has finished presenting their work, ask the nominated groups for example, 3 positive comments. This actually encourages groups to keep an eye on one another, offer constructive feedback, and see how they might better their own work. Now I know the teacher plays an important role in implementing radio drama in an ELT classroom, but the students are just as equally important. Success in a radio drama lesson does not only depend on the teacher but the students as well. First of all, a big part of a successful lesson is an active participation. In a classroom, learning is undoubtedly an active process. Rather than just writing down notes, it is more of an active engagement and movement. As students, we should arrive on time to be prepared for the lesson. Active participation in discussions and answering questions, interacting with their classmates, and etc. A successful lesson not only comes from a prepared teacher, but a student who is willing to get up and give their best effort. To add, students should try new things in class, especially activities that challenge learners outside of their comfort zone. I know taking risks is indeed not easy for everyone, especially when there's a chance of embarrassing yourself in front of your peers. But they can get confidence if they take the chance and push themselves to try new things in the classroom. Students should be brave and take the chance in class to be able to try and error, which will improve and develop new experiences for the students.
Now everyone, we have reached the last section of the video, the don'ts of implementing radio drama in the ESL classroom. In this part, we'll be elaborating on 2 perspectives. Firstly, the teacher's perspective, and secondly, the student's perspective. Let's take a look at the teacher's narrative. There are 3 things that the teacher should never do when using radio drama in the classroom. Firstly, using visual aids excessively while playing an audio drama. It can lose the purpose of language learning that is being broadcasted from the audio drama. Although audio and visual aids goes hand to hand, as it helps students to animate actions, characters, and the storyline much better compared to listening alone, having too many visual aids in a radio drama can backfire against the teacher's lesson plan. It actually can distract students from understanding the language learning derived from the audio content given. For instance, a teacher plays an audio drama that exemplifies the usage of words or vocabularies that expresses emotions, and she displays 10 pictures that stem from the audio content itself. Your student is actually not listening to the audio, rather they are focused on the attractive pictures illustrated in the class because it catches your attention more. This exemplifies how too many visual aids can be detrimental in a radio drama. We recommend teachers to use your visual aids wisely as you play the audio content in the classroom, limiting it to 5 pictures, ones that only highlight the key points of the audio content. Secondly, using a script that is too difficult for your learners to understand. When choosing a script for a radio drama activity, teachers need to verify 3 aspects: length of the script, context of the script, and the language used in the script. In the words of Mayulo 2018, it is important that teachers select a script that is suitable for their learners or based on their students' proficiency level. If not, it can jeopardize the lesson, resulting in an ineffective teaching and learning process to occur in the classroom. We can also call it as teacher's readiness. A teacher by no means should simply pick a script based on the notion of liking it, like this. Wow, I like this, the Lion King. Rather, the teacher needs to review whether it answers the questions of, is the script too long for the students to read? Can my students understand the language used in the script? And last but not least, does the storyline correlate to the student's reality? All 3 of these questions can help the teacher and guide teacher how best they can use the script on a radio drama for the ESL classroom. But if the opposite occurs, a mishap can happen. For example, teachers may have difficulty in explaining words or context the script is based on, producing an uncoordinated lesson, which you don't want that to happen in a real-life classroom, right everyone? Last but not least, teachers leaving their students alone while they conduct their own audio drama at their own expense. It is important to understand that radio drama activity is unfamiliar to many ESL learners in Malaysia. Hence, leaving your students at their own device as they try to conduct their own radio drama unattended can leave them feeling exhausted from doing the activity, even if they're in a group. This is particularly true for students that are fairly new to this dramatic technique. This is a scenario that teachers should avoid at all costs, as it can remain as a bad stigma among students that radio drama as a group activity is a boring, tiring thing to do in the class. With that in mind, teachers must assume their roles as a guide and facilitators, providing students with assistance and guidance in familiarizing the workings behind radio drama by going through the process steadily, while offering aid to them when they encounter issues in conducting their own radio drama. Dear passengers, we are about to reach your destination, my home, in 3 minutes. I repeat, my home in 3 minutes. Please hold on to your seatbelts and sit tightly as we are about to finish the ride. Your undivided focused attention is much appreciated as we are going to enter the student's narrative of what they should not do in carrying out radio drama in the ESL classroom. Firstly, students' reluctance to ask their teachers to clarify a word or sentence that they don't understand in the audio drama. This contributes to students' inability to decipher meaning and use of the words according to the context given, causing these students to fall behind their peers that are able to do so easily. Mayulo 2018 has mentioned that teachers should clarify any words, sentences, or emotions that may sound unfamiliar to the students' ears. However, there are instances that teachers overlook these things and they will not elaborate on these things unless they are told so. So, dear students, don't be shy with your teachers to ask, teacher, what is this word for? Teacher, I don't understand what this sentence is for. Do ask because your teachers are there to help you and clarify you, as it also helps you to understand and facilitate your learning or language learning of the audio content given. Secondly, students are not mentally and physically prepared to undertake the radio drama activity in the classroom. Students' condition in a lesson can affect their abilities to perceive both language learning and the learning process in a negative manner. It is harder for them to digest the learning content properly. Students being absent-minded or sleepy during the lesson are one of the few examples that reflects their unpreparedness to participate in the activity. This situation is not because your lesson is boring, rather it is rooted on the external factors like class hour. An English class that starts after recess is more likely to have students that are sleeping as they have a hard time during the morning. An environment where students are exhausted from the consecutive classes that they have experienced on that day. All these external factors contribute to students being demotivated, an internal factor, to participate in a lesson actively. To rectify this, Students need to be given time to freshen up by doing light exercises such as stretching, or engage them in an interactive activity like charades or singing, as it can help students to get ready for the activity. We recommend you to do so during the set induction.
Now, please enjoy our demonstration of radio drama.
سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر.
In Malaysia, we celebrate Raya a little different than other countries. Raya for the Malaysians is the same as Christmas for most parts of the Western world. They would have started thinking about Christmas as early as September to choose whether to go with the traditional styled green pine and red ornaments or the more modern white plastic pines with blue ornaments. But in Malaysia, we choose what food to serve, what furniture to replace, when to do an open house, and most importantly, it was a quiet Ramadan night. The ARIF family was just returning from Tarawih. They are about to discuss this year's color of baju raya.
So, Abba, what is our color going to be this year?
I don't know yet. What about you girls? What color do you want?
I want something dark. How about black?
We've already worn black a few years back. How about something softer like... cream. Yeah, cream.
Cream? Light colors are so easy to get dirty. I don't like it.
Well, black is too dull, Sophie. We are celebrating Raya, not going to a funeral.
Typical. People always associate black with funerals. Ugh, cream is just so simple and boring.
The two daughters were bickering over the theme of this year's Raya. Abah decided to step in.
Girls, you shouldn't be fighting. We are in the holy month of Ramadan. Besides, it's not important what color we are going to wear this year. At the end of the day, it's just clothing. You guys are missing the point of Idul Fitri. The day of Idul Fitri symbolizes piety, patience, fortitude, and godliness. Idul Fitri reminds us to share the festivities with the poor, the underprivileged, the downtrodden, orphans, neglected, and the cast off, besides embracing people from all walks of life.
You're right, Abba. I'm sorry, Sophie.
Yeah, I think we kinda forgot about that. I'm sorry too, Iman.
That's good. It's important to seek forgiveness with each other. Now, that being said, our theme for this year will be blue.
And so, the Arif family has decided that blue shall be the color of their baju raya for this year.